Hi everyone, it's Lindy on from Pink Whisper Designs. Today we're going to create this monochromatic card using some oranges and yellow tones. We're also going to create a little mini shaker, and I also want to show you a fun and easy direct to paper technique. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got the cutest little stamp set we'll be using today. This is from Art Impressions and it's called Easter Blessings. We'll grab that little sentiment and then we'll grab that little bunny inside the flower. But this set has lots of cute little images. This would be great for Easter or today. I'm not sure if I'm making a birthday card or an Easter card, so I'm going to leave the inside blank, but we are going to use that little sentiment that says somebody loves you. For coloring, I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I'll start off with yellow and orange. And I'm going to place a little bit of that orange up towards the top, and then kind of where these petals overlap, and we'll just do some simple blending with the Zig blender pen. You could certainly use a water brush here as well. And I like when these two colors blend. You get kind of that orange sherbet kind of color, so it's really pretty. And then later on, I did decide to come in with a little bit of that orange on the tips of the petals and blend that up to give those petals a little more dimension, and I'll show you that here in a second. So if you have too much ink, you can just pick it up off your image and scribble it onto your scrap paper. You could also use that yellow marker to do your blending as well if you prefer. You don't necessarily have to have the blender pen, but you do want to make sure that you clean that off thoroughly before you put it away. And to do that, again, just scribble that onto your scrap paper until that orange color comes off of it. So I'll continue adding a little bit of shadowing. And do keep in mind that all of the products I'm using today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. And it does help to support my channel if you use those links. I get a small commission, but it is at no additional cost to you. Now I'm switching over to May Green and Green to do my leaves. And today we're doing a monochromatic card. So I'm going to primarily stick with the yellows, oranges, kind of like shades of orange, but I'm just adding a little pop of color with the green leaves. That's it. Everything else will be in the oranges and yellow tones. And I'm going to show you a really fun direct to paper background. Really easy, simple to do, and you can use any of your pigment inks. I like to use the pigment inks because they blend really well when you're doing the direct to paper. And I'll show you that as well. And here's where I mentioned earlier, I came in with a little touch of the orange on the tips of those petals and just blend that up. And that'll give a little bit more of a rounded look to our petals. So the next thing, as I was looking at this, I thought the leaves looked a little bit flat. So I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to those. And I'm just going to take that yellow directly to that green, but you do want to, again, scribble that off when you're done so that you remove any green from your yellow marker. Then with the light pink, I'll do the cheeks, the ears, and a little bit on the feet of my bunny. And then with light gray, we'll color him in. You could use brown here, that would be pretty, but I, again, kind of wanted to stick in these lighter colors, and I didn't want to add too many other colors, so I figured with the light gray, our little bunny is mostly white. I'm just using the gray to add a few little shadows. And along with doing our direct to paper technique today, we're also going to be creating a little shaker card, a little shaker window, which is going to be really pretty, and again, using those same color combinations. So what I did after I finished coloring, I decided to stamp this again. So I'm placing it right back in the position it was before. I did not remove that stamp from my MISTI. So I was able to slide that right back into place and stamp it again. And that just brought that black a little bit darker. My edges are a little bit darker. You certainly don't have to do this. It is helpful sometimes though if you're doing watercoloring. Sometimes that black line gets a little bit muted, so that's a great way to sharpen it back up. And then I took my white gel pen and I added a few white highlights here and there. So I'm grabbing this cute little frame, the scallop frame, but this set does include that other frame that I just showed you, which is really pretty. And this is the Journal Rectangle Frame set from Art Impressions. This one here would be great for photographs. It almost looks like it's for photos. But we're going to use the Lawn Fawn cardstock in the rainbow, and I'm going to grab this kind of orangey tone. We'll run that through the Spellbinders Platinum Scout machine, just putting it on a little bit of an angle so that it runs through a little bit easier. And then let's grab that sentiment that says "Some Bunny Loves You," and we're going to stamp that right at the top of this little frame. I'm just lining that up, and I'll go back to that same VersaFine Onyx Black ink to do my stamping. Let's go ahead and set that aside for now, and I'm going to grab the nested rectangle dies from Art Impressions, and I'll grab that largest one. I'm die cutting it from some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock again, and then I've got this really pretty color wheel. This is from Vicki Boutin, and we're going to use those three colors, the yellow, the orange, and kind of that darker orange. And this is the direct to paper technique. So I'm just going to take these little triangular pads directly to my cardstock. And this is a really fun and easy way to create a background. Let's go to that next darker color, and I do recommend going lightest to darkest so that you don't kind of muddy up your lighter color ink pads. But it doesn't matter too much. We are going to go back over these, so I'm not too fussy about that, but if you are, you would want to go light to dark. And then I'll take that orangey tone and just blend, and I'm just kind of randomly filling in some areas of this background. And again, it's really nice to be able to just take this right to my cardstock. And with that pointy tip on these, this is great for getting into some small areas if you wanted to. You have that pointy little tip so you can use it to do your stenciling or some coloring if you want to add ink in a specific area. So now you can see that I'm going back to the lighter color, then the medium color, and I'm just kind of filling in here and there where I think it needs a little bit more color or a little bit more blending. And then I'll go back to that orange. And with the orange, I am going to use that to create a little bit of an edge to the card. So I'm going all the way around, and I'm just pushing that flat edge of that triangle right up against the cardstock. Not going in too far, just to create a little bit of a frame. And you can see these little pie shapes slide right back onto that color wheel. So they're really easy to use. So I went back to that yellow just to do a little bit more blending of that frame that we created, and take a look at how pretty this is. It's just really fun to do, and they always come out different. And that's also fun, and it's nice to use your color wheel ink pads for this kind of thing because you know exactly what goes together. I've got another piece of Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to die cut that frame one more time. I'm going to be using both pieces from what I just die cut. We're going to use this little rectangle, and that'll be for the inside of our shaker. Going back to that orange pad again and doing just like I did before, just kind of lining it up flat along the edge and just pulling in just a little bit. And I'll show you this close. It's really cool. It creates this really interesting little frame around this cardstock. Let me give you a closer look at that. And I really love how that looks. And now to tie everything together, I've got my watercolor travel box, and this has 3 acrylic blocks in it. It also has a little palette for your watercoloring. And then I'm going to grab the My Trust set from the Bible Journaling series from Art Impressions. And we're going to just grab that stamp that has those little speckles on it. I use this a lot now. I love this. It really creates a fun spattered background. And I know I said this in another video, but a lot of you have told me that you're kind of what you call spatter challenged. Hard for you to get some nice, simple spattering and some tiny spattering. So this gives you the look of that spattering without a lot of work, and it's really easy to do. And I'm just inking it up with that orange color again and going all around the background. And I'll do that for all of these. Now you could ink this up in multicolors, so your spatters would be in different colors, or just stamp it in one color and then come back in with another. And you could certainly just do your normal spattering with your water and your paintbrush if you prefer. But I thought I'd show you how simple this little stamp is. Makes the backgrounds really easy to do. So let's take the other piece from that little frame that we die cut, this white, and I'm going to add some tape all around the edges. And I did cut a piece of acetate that will fit right inside this window. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's sitting there on the table towards the left. So once I added the 1/8 inch tape all around, let's go ahead and remove that backing. I'm just using that Cricut weeding tool, and we'll go ahead and line this up. Again, this is to create our little shaker window. And that piece is going to fit right on top. So we're going to sandwich that acetate between these two windows. And this will give us a little bit more substance as well. It's just going to thicken up this little frame a little bit better. And then once again, I'm going to add that 1/8 inch tape all the way around. Remove the backing, and then we'll attach these two together. You certainly don't have to add this second layer, but as I said, I think it gives this a little bit more substance. So now that that's all set, I'm just using my Nuvo Surface Sweep brush just to brush off any lint off of that acetate. And then let's go to this little panel that we created, that little frame around the edges, and I'm putting some double-sided tape on the back of that. I'm going to line it up in that window so that I can place it perfectly on my card. So I'm centering this frame up towards the top of that card panel, and then I'll just push it down, and with that tape on the back, it's going to position it perfectly on the front of our card. Now I've got these really pretty gems. These are just beautiful, and again, they're in the colors, the monochromatic colors that we're using today. And this is a sequin mix from Picket Studios, and it's called Birthday Celebration. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a few of these little hearts and sequins on the inside, just so that when my shaker moves around, I have a few pieces that actually are there all the time. So it will always look like it's full of these little shaker pieces. You could certainly add some to the front of your acetate as well if you like that. So what I'm going to do now is I've got some 1/8 inch 3D foam strips, and I'm going to go all around this window. Now you do want to make sure that all of your little foam strips butt up against each other. So I'm adding some towards the top there, but I want to make sure that these that go around this opening are butted up against each other so that none of my little sequins escape out the sides. And then once you've done that, you want to add a second layer of this foam tape, and that will give our little shaker bits some room to move around. So I'm just trimming these up, but again, being very careful. And I did add a little extra up towards the top of that frame just to make everything nice and level. Now once this is done, I'll show you from the side that you're going to get a lot of dimension on this and plenty of room for our little sequins and hearts. And you can see that there. So now let's place the rest of our sequins right down in the center of this little frame. And make sure they're kind of in towards the middle because we're going to place that frame over top, and you don't want any to get stuck there. So now I can line up my frame, and just looking through I can see exactly where it needs to be. First I'm going to add a little bit of the Pink and Main Magic Anti-Static just around the edges of that adhesive, not on the top, just on the sides of the adhesive, so that my little shaker bits don't get stuck around the edges. And then you want to press this down really well. So I lined it up and pressing it down. And now you can see how cute this is with these little shaker elements. And because we've glued a few of those down on the inside of the shaker, those will always be visible even when the card is upright. So I've got some 1/8 inch double-sided tape, and I'm going to place that on the back of my little bunny. Let's go ahead and remove the backing, and I'm going to attach this directly to the acetate. I'll just tuck the bottom of the stem down behind that frame just a little bit, and then this will get taped right in place. Next, I grabbed a few extras of those little hearts from our sequin mix, and I'm going to pop 3 of them on the front of this frame. And again, that just kind of brings everything, ties everything together, I think, a little bit more. And you could always add a few to your acetate as well. Let's make a standard card. This measures 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm scoring it at 4¼ inches. And this will be a side folding card. And then let's go back to that Tombow mono double-sided tape and add just a few little strips of it on the back of this panel, down below that frame. And what I'm going to do is wrap some yellow and white twine all the way around. I wrapped it around about 3 times, and then I'm going to tie a bow. I'll use my reverse tweezers just to clamp that down while I tie my bow. And that tape on the back is holding that twine in place for me. So let's go ahead and trim away any excess. And then I did want to pop this layer up as well. So I'm going to my foam tape. This is a 3D foam tape, and I'm going to place it all the way around the back of this. I'm going to avoid the area where that twine is, just so this will lay nice and flat on my card. So I'm just going to go right up to that twine, and then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So once I had plenty of tape on the back, let's go back to that Cricut weeding tool and remove that backing. You can see how easily we can remove that with that little pokey end of the tool. And then I'm going to center this on the front of the card. I did find it easier just to turn the card over and line it up on my glass media mat just to make sure it was right along that top edge, and I am centering it. And the last thing I want to do is add some pops of color. This one is called Sunshine, and this is from scrapbook.com. And I'm going to add a few little dots of it right along that scallop border. I just thought it would be really pretty to tie in some more of that yellow color. And then I'll add just a couple little dots around those hearts up at the top there. So let's take a closer look at our monochromatic shaker card. And this is just so much fun. I love this little bunny, so cute. And you can see it shakes up really, really well. I don't want to shake it too much because it might make you dizzy, but it does shake and it's really cute. It's a fun little card. It's got a lot of dimension. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.